What's up, guys? Welcome to the Athlete Conversation. This is your host and athlete, Conrado Duauer, and with me today I have a very special guest, one of my very good friends, Alfred Perez. How are you, brother?
Blessed to be here, bro.
Yes, sir.
Blessed
Thank
to
you
be
for
here.
coming, bro.
Absolutely.
This guy came all the way from Miami to be in the podcast and spend the weekend in New York, yeah?
Absolutely, man. Just good to be here with some of my best friends and
Yes, sir.
some of my family. So, like I said, blessed to be here.
Me too, bro. Me too. So tell us a little bit more about you, bro. Where did you start playing? How did you fall in love with soccer?
Yeah, so it all started in the local club, Toros, which you played for
Yeah,
as
I
well.
played there as well.
So it all started in my elementary school, like recreational league, but then when it got a little more serious, it was with the Toros.
Okay.
Was super fortunate to have a great coach in Eric Vasquez who got the
Shout
team.
out to Eric.
Shout
yeah,
out
shout
Eric.
out to
Yeah,
Eric.
that's my guy. Who got the team when we were all super young and like really taught us a lot. We went 3-4 years without losing a game, won 2 state championships. And because of our success, we were all able to go our separate ways and take the next step in our career, which was academy soccer.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of that team separated into Kendall and Weston, which are the 2 academies in South Florida. And then then came academy for 2.5, 3 years with a little bit of time in Europe in between, and then college. And
Where to go to school in college?
I went to Harvard,
Okay, that's a big one.
small school in Cambridge.
Yeah, a little small one in Boston. But before we get into that, tell me about your experience in Europe, bro. Where did you play? What did you do over there?
So I went with Weston Academy,
Uh-huh.
my academy team. We went to a tournament there, and I was scouted by an agent named Gaetano Fedele,
Okay.
who after the tournament ended, after 2.5 weeks, invited me to stay and pursue a professional career.
How old were you at this point?
I want to say like 16 years old.
That's pretty.
And so I stayed in Italy for a bit. I went to Brescia,
Mm-hmm.
was invited to Brescia, where Pirlo came up
Mm-hmm.
out of. And then I went to Virtus Entella, which is a Serie B club, and was there. They liked me a lot. I got a contract, but for visa issues and stuff.
Yeah.
Also, my dad really wanted me to go to college, so I came back and then started that process.
Okay. And when did you realize when you were a kid that you wanted to make it to the pro level? Was it when you went to Europe, or was it before when you first started playing at Toros?
To be honest, my dad was a professional baseball player,
Mhm.
so growing up,
He's a great man.
yeah.
Shout out to
shout
Alfredo.
out, yeah.
Shout out to Alfredo.
So growing up, it's the level of like professionalism in sports and athletics has always been there. You know, since
Mhm.
a young age, I've always been taught that, sports is a business and it's entertainment, and you can be up here one day and you can be at
And
the
be
bottom
down
the
there.
next day. So, growing up, I always knew the reality of things, which helped me, grow older and not get too emotionally attached to things because it can be taken away from you so fast. So like 12, 13 years old, I was like, I want to be in Europe when I'm 16, 17, which I was able to go. But then, long story, I mean, we don't have too much time here, but it was important for me to go to college.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to become a pro, and then while I was training from 13 years old to become a pro, college came into the picture just because I was working so hard. And yeah, from there I did the recruiting process and figured it out.
And tell me, how did Harvard reach you? How did you end up at Harvard?
So we actually were playing in the national quarterfinal.
Okay.
To
With Weston, right?
Yeah, to anyone listening, like, you're only as good as your team, right? So if your team is doing really well, then a lot of people are gonna come watch.
Mm-hmm.
So we played in the national quarterfinal in FIU. I was a sophomore at the time, so I wasn't even allowed to be approached by colleges because you're not
Mhm.
allowed to till your junior year.
I actually didn't know that, dude.
Yeah, so we were playing at FIU, packed, 10K fans against
That's how
Chicago
you
Fire.
like it, eh? That's how you
Yeah,
like
it
it.
was
You
dope.
like it packed.
It was dope. And then the Harvard coaches came to watch an older player on my team, actually.
Mm-hmm.
They knew who I was, but they came to watch another guy, and then they saw me, and they liked me a lot. So we actually lost that game, and then the season ended right there. But a week after, my coach, Victor Pastor, was like, look, Harvard's interested. You should call them because you're allowed to reach out to them, but they're not allowed to reach out to you.
Okay.
So I called them. we spoke a little bit. They expressed their interest. We talked about, maybe what could be. And then, yeah, from there, we just continued talking. And
And
I
it just
looked at
happened.
other options as well. But for me, Harvard was a good fit.
I mean, I like you said, your dad definitely cared about school and he wanted you to pursue an academic route as well. So I'm wondering, how did it when your dad found out, when your parents found out that Harvard was interested and that it was an actual option?
Yeah.
How did that go about in your family? Was it like a super excitement?
Yeah. So, like we've spoken about, it was so important for me to go to college. So kind of fast forwarding 4 years after I graduated,
Mm-hmm.
legit, like my dad was crying at my graduation. Like he gave
Yeah,
me a big hug and
that's
he just
sweet, man.
started tearing up. So it was a dream come true. My family comes from Cuba, from
Yeah,
nothing.
man. Yeah, yeah.
So um, I've definitely been very fortunate the way I've grown up. My parents not so much, and their parents even less. So to think about where we started and kind of where we are now and where we're headed is it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's something. It's definitely something to feel blessed about. I feel like, especially like you just mentioned, your parents weren't as fortunate as you and I are,
Exactly.
but I feel like at the same time, having their kid go to a school like Harvard is a big accomplishment, right?
Yeah.
They're definitely proud of that, dude. Even I mean, not only Harvard, but a kid that you worked hard your entire life. You've been playing soccer, which is what you love. You played in Europe. I feel like that's definitely something to be proud of. But tell me, after Harvard, right? Where did you go and what did you do?
So after Harvard, I graduated in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Was just staying in shape, training, kind of just looking at what was gonna come, maybe some pro opportunities, maybe do a graduate year somewhere else. And for me, I did go train with some professional clubs, but I thought it was best for me to go to a graduate year and do
Mm-hmm.
that, which COVID gave me an extra year, so I took that. And when it came down to it, I was looking at Duke, North Carolina State, and South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And staying close to home, and having the opportunity to play in front of my family every weekend was something that was like so important for me. Because
And
my
that's something,
father,
yeah, and that's something you didn't experience while you were
yeah, because
in Boston,
my
right?
dad, my dad had he had to get open heart surgery last year, so
Yeah.
he missed every single one of my games. And like my dad, and anybody who knows me knows my father is like the number one supporter of mine. Like will travel the world to see me play, no matter where I'm playing.
Yeah.
So not having him that year, and then being able to come back, come close to home, have my family in the crowd every game was something that meant a lot to me.
Okay, so you're looking to stay close to home, but at the same time looking for that
And the
opportunity
soccer
to,
made sense too. The
yeah,
coaches were
absolutely.
great. The team was a good team. So everything just clicked, and it made sense.
And what was the difference between that team at USF? Because you made it all the way to the national tournament.
Yeah.
You had a very successful season this year. So what was different about that team at USF versus compared to Harvard, for example? Because Harvard is it's not, they don't put that much emphasis into soccer, although they have a very good team, right? They have very good athletes, but it's more of an academic school as well, right? The academic is one of the best schools in the US. So tell me, what are the differences between that team at USF and at Harvard?
Yeah, I think the main difference is that, um, the most obvious reason, it's extremely difficult to get into Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not only recruiting a great soccer player,
It's
but
very
you're recruiting
tough.
a great academic student.
Yeah.
So finding the balance is kind of hard, right? Finding a player who's at a very, very high level, who also has a very, very high level of grades.
Mm-hmm.
That balance is hard to find.
Yeah.
But it's something the Ivy League institutions have to find, right? Where at a school like South Florida or any just big time soccer school, it's maybe a little bit easier for players to get in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, there's maybe a little bit more talent, and people who are just hungry to make it to the next level. I think
Yeah.
that's the difference.
I think for the audience, for them to know, because I actually didn't know this before when I was in high school. The Ivy Leagues are not allowed to give out scholarships.
Yeah.
But other schools are, like USF, Division One schools everyone's allowed to give out scholarships except for Ivy Leagues and Division Three schools as well. I don't think they're allowed either. But tell me, dude, what made that team so special that you had such a successful season, and on top of that, you made it to a national tournament, and obviously you came in, you went into a school thinking business, right? It wasn't really, you weren't a freshman anymore. You were an older Alfred. So you went there knowing what you wanted, right? So how
Mhm.
was that experience transferring, like, for you as a person, right? Coming from, okay, you did your 4 years at Harvard, now we're USF, thinking about business, thinking about your future.
Mhm.
How did you feel while you made that transition into a new team, into a better opportunity for you to make it as a pro?
Yeah, so I think to start, like you said, it for me it was business from day one. I actually found out I was going to South Florida just a week before preseason started, so I didn't have much time to
Yeah,
think about it. I didn't
we were
really,
doing preseason
yeah,
together that year. Yeah,
I really didn't know what I was walking into.
yeah, I remember,
I
bro.
could have been walking into a team that maybe wasn't so good, and last season they weren't great. The team wasn't great. We came, I think it was 6 out of 8
Okay,
um,
6 out of 8 in your conference.
in our conference, which yeah, so we weren't projected to do that well.
Hmm.
But this year, a lot of guys stayed healthy, and we had talent. We brought in some really good transfers from junior colleges and stuff like that. So from a team standpoint, I think what was special was um, we always remained together. And like in a college soccer is college soccer. You know,
Yeah.
like yeah, you're gonna have some people that are good, but at the end of the day, the level's kind of even.
Hmm.
And if you can have a group of players that stays together, like we live together at USF, like all our team lives in the same building next to each other. So like we were
Yeah.
a very tight group, and then that tight group mixed with a solid coaching staff who supported us and gave us everything we needed to succeed was important, right?
Hmm.
And so I think going back to like college soccer and being everyone being kind of level is if you're together and you work really hard, the team that kind of wants it more,
We'll win.
um, yeah, we'll win. And we found towards the middle end of the season, we found out how to win. Maybe we weren't the best team on the field always, but we found out how to win, and that was special for us. And we just took that momentum into our conference tournament, which we lost in the final, which we weren't even expected to make it.
Yeah.
And then we made it to the tournament. We weren't supposed to make it past the first round. We did, and then we lost to Kentucky, which was the number 1 seed.
And would you say that that would be defined as team culture, that connection, that community that you guys built?
Yeah, no, team culture is very important in college more than ever.
And how do you build that, dude? Because I mean, you went in as a master's student, as a graduate student. So how do you build that culture with someone who, I mean, you have kids that have been there since freshman year, right? But then how do you align? And I don't know if you know the answer to this either, but how do you align someone who's been there for 4 years with a transfer student like yourself, right?
Yeah, I think culture is important. I'm not sure I have the specific formula or answer to it, but I think buy-in is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're buying into a coach's strategy, a coach's philosophy, or you're just buying into each other as a brotherhood.
100%.
So there's got to be some sort of buy-in, and if that buy-in is really strong, you guys can do well, 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And the best teams that I've personally ever played with, it was those teams. I mean, you just want to kill for each other, man. You want to crack
Exactly.
someone on the field. Like when we play small sided, you
Exactly.
just want to kill for each other, man. That's exactly what it is. And I think that's a big part of culture is having that love for the player that you're playing like with, right? And I think the coach plays an important role as well. You know, you have to believe in what he wants to do, what he wants to accomplish, and also his tactics. But while you were at USF, I remember midway through the season, you got a knee injury, right?
Mhm.
You were injured.
Yeah.
So walk me through how do you feel while you were injured, right? Because you went in there with, okay, I want a good soccer team.
Yeah.
I want to take it to a next level. This is my opportunity. And then you got injured. You were able to come back from the injury and you did very well. You scored the best goal in college soccer, which we'll talk about that 100%. But tell me, how did it feel to get injured and having to not being able to play for so long?
Yeah, it was tough because, like we said, I went for business. Right, I went to
Yeah.
play soccer. That's just the truth of it. I went there to
Mhm.
play soccer, and then in a way, it was taken from me for 6 weeks. So you definitely have your high moments. I scored a really nice goal in preseason. Everything was going really well. I had a lot of agents reaching out to me, and then from 1 second to the next, you feel like you lost everything. Which,
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, you don't. It's just the way you feel. Because at the end of the day, we're breathing, we're blessed, we have support, you know, but you just
100%.
feel that way. Um, and yeah, it was a tough 6 weeks. You go from a high to a very low low, and also it's important to have a good support system too, because nobody's just, you know, perfect human so strong that they can just get through everything by themselves. And I
Absolutely,
was
man.
lucky to have my family, my friends, people who support me. So I think that just speaks to the highs and lows of what it is being an athlete. But
Hmm.
definitely injuries suck.
Injury
And
suck, man. Yeah, and especially in the situation that you were in, bro.
yeah,
So what made you? So what do you think made you get through it? Though, was it your family? Was it this mindset that you have, which I think is it's a very healthy mindset to have. You know, we're definitely blessed
yeah.
in every way. But is that what got you through it? Your family and friends?
I knew it was just a mix. Yeah, the support was amazing, but it was a mix of, you know, you definitely have some great days and you have some really low days, like, you
Always.
know. But I think it was a mix of just me, my will wanting to get back and help the team as much as I can, because I was only going to be there for one season, for 3 months, 3.5 months. I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to leave the program in a better place than it was before I got there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was just my hunger to come back and make a difference, really.
And I think you did, man.
Yeah,
You came back and then you scored what was it, rated number 2 in ESPN.
yeah.
How did that feel, man? Talk to me about that, because we actually haven't really talked about it. We messaged back and forth a few times,
Yeah,
but how was that experience,
it
bro?
was insane. It was honestly insane. It was probably the best goal I scored in my life.
That's a big statement right there,
It
though.
was crazy, and you know I had my family there, so it was pretty cool. And we were tied 0-0, so it was an important game in our league. We were playing against Memphis at home in front of all our supporters. After the game, my phone was blowing up.
I bet.
ESPN, Twitter, Instagram, everything. And yeah, it's just one of those moments that, like, it's a little bit life changing. Like, it's a memory that I'm gonna have for the rest of my life.
Forever.
It's a video that my kids are gonna look at one day, hopefully, and it's just an insane memory that I have, and I'm so blessed to have it.
Yeah, I agree there, and also especially considering the fact that you just had just come out of injury. So yeah, that was great, dude. So tell me, how do you think? And we briefly talked about this yesterday. How do you think you've changed over the years, right, as an athlete? Because obviously that Alfred from USF in your last year is not the same Alfred that was freshman year at Harvard. Maybe those two different Alfreds, the one at Harvard freshman year, wouldn't have dealt with the injury as well as you did once you were older, more mature. So how did you change as a player from when you were a kid to now?
Yeah, I think I've matured a lot. I've
Yeah,
matured, you know, so much, from just dealing with injuries to dealing with maybe not starting, or whatever the case may be. When I was younger, I was shut off a little bit easier. Like,
okay.
if the coach was like, "Look, I'm not gonna start you today," maybe I would shut off and be like, "Oh, like, just kind of like
Yeah.
be down about it." And as you get older, you kind of realize, like, the mentality is so important. It's such an important aspect of the game. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we train, and we work out and we lift and we run and we do all this stuff, but you also got to work on the mental aspect of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I made it a point, as I've gotten older, to work on my mental side, which is like been the difference, right? Because you can
Absolutely.
only get so much better as a player, especially in the US. But if your mentality's right, kind of nothing can stop you.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the belief, if you have the will to continue. So yeah, just maturing as a person, being that older guy who is the first one in, last one out. I think I've always done that, but when you're the older guy, the younger guys look up to you, and you're always an
Absolutely.
example. So you have that responsibility. And me coming into USF, it was that I was the older guy who had the most experience on the team playing in college soccer, and it was just guys who didn't know who I was. And from the first day I walked into the locker room, was like, you're gonna watch what I do, and you're gonna respect me because of my work. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not asking for you to just respect me just because. It's like, you see the way I work, and that's why you should respect me, and I'm gonna respect you as well.
Absolutely.
You
So
know?
actions speak louder than words,
Exactly.
right? And how do you work on that mental aspect?
I think being grounded is like the first step. I think it's so important to meditate and be grounded. Like I said many times, we're blessed.
Yeah.
Just giving thanks for everything we have, living in the moment and being present in all situations.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You meditate a lot?
I started, yeah.
You
I
started
started, yeah.
when you were at USF.
I started. Well, I pray a lot, which is a form of
Uh-huh.
meditation. But like just
I
meditating,
agree.
actually more recently, just in like a hot sauna, I'll put my headphones in, put some relaxing music, and just meditate and just think about all I'm grateful for, think about all my blessings, and
Okay. And that
then
keeps you grounded.
keeps me super grounded. Also, it makes me a little bit creative, just a time to switch off and just think about different things. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, that's and you. I mean, you're gonna carry that.
I did a celebration too, the meditation
Oh, I
celebration I
saw it.
did.
I saw
So
it. I saw it.
yeah,
That was cool. So you're definitely gonna carry that mindset that you've developed into your next chapter, whether that is playing soccer, but if it's not playing soccer, right? Let's say you want to make a different decision, which right now obviously you're looking to make it to the next level. But what would it look like for you to not play soccer and now transfer your skill sets and everything you've developed over the years into something else? What would you want to do? Well, how would your life be different without soccer?
yeah. No, I think whatever comes next in my future, whether it's soccer or it's not soccer, I think the tools that we and every athlete has have developed and the characteristics, and the work ethic is gonna translate into whatever we do next. It's
100%, man.
just since 13 years old, I've poured my life into this game, and whatever I do next, I'm gonna pour my life into that too. It's just a matter of the transition and figuring out what I want to do. If it's soccer, I'll continue pouring my life into it. If it's something else, I'll continue. But like that work ethic is not gonna change.
Absolutely,
It's
man.
just gonna translate into whatever's next.
I agree, and I think that's I say this in every single one of my episodes, but I think that's one of the beauties about playing sports, and I mean playing sports at any point in your life, but especially in college, man. In
Yeah.
college, it's a different type of animal, right? You gotta go in every day in the morning, and you gotta put in the work. But now let's transition a little bit. I want to talk about something a little bit more fun, right? Tell me how's the social life at Harvard, right? Being part of an athletic team, you also were part of a sort of some sort of frat, right? At Harvard, how's the social life with your teammates and going out there?
Yeah, Harvard was a lot of fun. It was
And I think that people want to know, were you a dog or you're not a dog?
no, 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 not a dog, just a genuine guy, you know. But no, no.
Well behaved, well behaved.
No, the social scene was fun. It was different, very different in a way. It's called instead of a frat, they call them a final club.
Okay.
So I was in the Phoenix, which is a pretty cool club that you can look up on the internet. It's in the Social Network, the movie.
Oh shit, that's
Um,
cool.
so yeah, it was a lot of fun. The reason I say it's different is because everything there is a little bit more like elegant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like where normally you would just go have a casual dinner with your friends on a Thursday, like we're dressing up in suit and tie. We have a chef. We have a really nice meal. We have, the top wine. So it's very like elegant, something you might expect from a place like Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, most people think that like, nah, everyone's just a nerd there. But no, we had our fun for sure. I met, you've met a bunch of my buddies.
Yeah,
I have
good
like
people.
my best friends in the world that go there, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And you think that's like one of the biggest benefits of going to a school such as Harvard? Is it the network you develop there, or is it the school itself?
I think the network. I think a lot of life is networking. Who you know.
Absolutely.
I think who you know is always gonna get you in the door, and what you do after that is up to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, a place like Harvard, a place like literally whatever institution you join, whether it's Fordham or whatever it is, the network is always gonna be there for you. Like your high school network, your friends from Miami, your friends from New York. Like those networks are so important,
Yeah.
and through that network, you get to meet other people and just expand your network. So, my advice to someone watching this podcast is like leave your hometown, explore something new, have a new network. Because like I was born and raised in Miami. Yeah, I traveled playing soccer, but I went to school for 4 years in Boston, and with people from literally all over the world. Like I
Yeah.
have friends that come from Dubai. I have friends that come from Canada. I come to New York. I have all my boys here. I go to Boston. I have boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Man,
it's like
absolutely.
expand your circle, and the opportunities are endless.
Okay. And how do you? Because that's your advice to someone who's looking to go into college, which I 100% agree. But once you are in college, right? What should you do to expand that network, right? Should you be friendly? What should you look for in the people you surround yourself with? Walk me a little bit through what you think regarding that.
Yeah, I don't think there's like a specific formula. I definitely don't have one. I think it's for me a lot of it goes off energy. Like
Absolutely, man.
me and you became friends through Wanfe. It was
Yeah.
just a positive energy, a good vibe.
But we're also very similar people, right?
Yeah.
We're both hardworking, and we have a lot in common in regards to athletics,
So I'd
right?
say surround yourself with people who give you good energy. Take off all the drama, all the negative energy in your life 'cause it's a waste of time. And when you're trying
Absolutely,
to
man.
get somewhere, you don't have time for that waste. It's just bringing you down. So put yourself out there, join clubs. Just
Talk to
do
girls, talk to
talk to
boys, whatever
girls,
you're
talk to
into.
boys,
Yeah,
talk to whoever you
absolutely.
want to talk to. But just enjoy because it goes by fast
It does, man.
and enjoy really.
And you also got to be careful who you surround yourself with as well,
100%.
right? Because I deeply do believe in the phrase, you're the average of the five people you spend the most time with. So
Yeah,
if you go to college, a lot of people go to college and they spend time with the wrong crowd, man. And I think being an athlete and being part of a team gives you the possibility of hanging out with people who are similar to you, right?
for sure.
You're hanging out with people who like we talked about. You gotta wake up at 5 in the morning. You gotta show up to the gym. You gotta do sprints in the cold. So you're I mean you're hanging out with warriors, right? And
Absolutely.
you guys all have a similar mindset, and that kind of moves you forward. But it's very easy to kind of get lost in the going out, in the social setting. There's a lot of drinking that goes on in college, so it's very important to stay grounded. And
Hmm.
I would say that, and I preach this all the time. If you have the chance to play on a college team, you should definitely take it, right? So
For
for
sure.
international students who are in the verge of, okay, do I take the chance and go to study in the US? I think they should definitely take the chance, man. I mean, nowhere in the world can you get the experience that we had, right? And the people that we met in college are, I mean, we're gonna carry them with us until we die, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna be my boy for forever. Um, but tell me now, right? You're in New York. You just finished your season. Are you planning on going professional or not? That's what the people want to know.
Um, yeah, I'm definitely exploring options. I'm fortunate that I have options. I
Hmm.
have soccer. I also have the other side of things, the corporate world and stuff.
What do you want to do the corporate world though? Is that something that attracts you? That type of lifestyle?
Yeah. I mean, I worked hard to put myself through a college that was gonna, provide me with some pretty cool opportunities. It's something that I'm considering.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, like I don't know what my future holds, and I
You
like to
never
say I
do.
don't know what my future holds. I know who holds my future, which is God. So I try to just right now just do the right things and kind of let Him put the pieces in the right place.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at with everything.
But you give me the vibe that you're more of a more like entrepreneurial side, right? You're more
Yeah,
of
for sure,
an
for sure,
entertainer.
for
Right?
sure.
Like it'd be very cool to make a show with you,
Reality
right?
TV, if you're looking.
Reality TV. Oh, we'll see. We'll make it happen. And I think even if you do want to open up your own business and you do want to like pursue that route, I think going to college is still very important for the reasons that we talked about,
100%.
right? Making the friends that we already made. But what would your advice be? Not to an international student, not to someone that's going into college, to someone that's maybe younger, when like 16, 17 years old, maybe looking to either go professional or go to school. You know, the decision we all had to make. What would your advice be to that person? Do you advise them to go professional, or do you advise them to take the college route and potentially make it pro eventually through college athletics?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to the person and the risks they want to take. Because being a professional athlete is a massive risk, or foregoing college to
Mm-hmm.
become a professional athlete. Because the way the world works now, a lot of people are not. They won't hire you. They won't even look at you if you don't have a 4-year degree from an institution.
Absolutely, man. I agree.
So when you're 16, 17, if you do want to be a pro and you do want to take that risk, understand that you're going to put everything there is into becoming the best pro you can be. But once that's over, which you don't know when it could be tomorrow, you could get an injury in training. Like you just never know. It's the unknown. So it's the risk factor is huge, but if you're
Yeah.
willing to take that risk and understanding that after your career's over, it's going to be a hard journey up to probably be and get to your dream life, then take that risk by all means. But if you're like, oh, I want to do the best of both worlds, I want to go to college, I want to network, I want to surround myself with pretty dope people, and I want to continue playing the sport I love and see where it takes me, it's also a great option. So I think it all depends on the person and kind of what they want. I think if someone wants to become a pro and that's all they want to do it. Sign at 17, go pro. But I think if you want to take a little bit of a more secure route, go to college, get a degree, and you can still go pro.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's very risky to just go pro when you're 17, dude.
Yeah.
And like you said, sometimes you're competing with people who have nothing to lose, man. And I think if you already have the chance to go to a great school such as Harvard or an Ivy League, Fordham, or a Division 1 school, Division 2 school, like you're already in a position of being very fortunate, right? So you're already not in the same position that most of the pros that you look at right now. I mean, especially with a sport like soccer, most of the guys that are playing the World Cup, for example, they never had the opportunity that we had, right?
Yeah.
So it's very different. But for other sports, such as like the NBA, for example, basketball, for kids who are coming from Egypt or kids who are coming from Europe, they have a better chance of making it to the NBA here than they do in their country, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it varies depending on the sport that you play and what you do. But like you said, I think family and family values is what truly matters at the end of the day. And having said that, what do you think are your values and your family values that have been instilled with you from a very young age?
It's a good question. Like I said earlier, my family came from Cuba with nothing. Cuba's a communist place. So
Yeah,
my grandmother
it's
came
tough.
with her husband, my mother, my two uncles, and with literally the clothes they were wearing. That's it. That's all they came with. Packed their bags and came from Cuba to Miami and made a way. So they had to work. They had to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I think growing up, the emphasis on working hard and believing in chasing in your dream is because they were chasing the American dream.
Absolutely.
And have put us in a good spot to continue to have the resources that we need to continue to chase our dream. So I think, definitely like hard work ethic is so important. I think small circle, but very loyal circle. Like, most of my best friends, you're one of my best friends. Like it's a small circle, but it's people who, like, I know if I pick up the phone and I call you, you got my back no matter what it is. You're not going to ask why. You're just going to say, like, where, when, how. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so important.
Especially if you need a wingman. Nah, I'm kidding. I got my girl watching.
No,
it's a joke. It's a joke, guys. But absolutely, man. I agree with you, bro.
So, yeah, I think it's, work ethic, who you surround yourself with, and over everything, just faith in the process, faith in the plan, and yeah.
I mean, on that note, I think that was very beautiful. We sadly have to end, but man, thank you for coming. Hopefully, we'll run it back in a couple episodes. In a few episodes, we'll run it back, maybe in Miami, maybe here. But thank you for coming, bro. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely, bro. Pleasure.